Hey everyone. Today we need to talk about something that just happened in the American restaurant industry. And the number buried in the bankruptcy filing should make every single sit down chain in this country sit up. So picture this: 1938. A 19-year-old kid in Waycross, Georgia opens a tiny 25-seat lunch counter called the Green Frog. No business school, no investors, no franchise playbook. He just has one rule: treat every customer who walks through that door like the most important person in the world. By 1968, that kid opens his first seafood restaurant in Lakeland, Florida, and prices a lobster low enough that a working family can finally afford a sit-down dinner. He calls it Red Lobster. 56 years later, that single Lakeland restaurant has become the largest casual seafood chain on earth. 700 locations, 36,000 employees, the kind of American institution where teenagers got their first jobs and families had their first anniversaries. And then the company filed for bankruptcy. His name was Bill Darden, the man who built it. And the number you're about to hear is the one Wall Street is praying you never see. Now, you might be thinking, I don't even eat at Red Lobster. This doesn't touch me. Stay with me, because the exact same playbook that just killed Red Lobster is being run on Applebee's, on TGI Fridays, on Cracker Barrel right now. So hit that subscribe button because this one goes deep. Let's get into it. So here is what actually happened. May 19th, 2024. Red Lobster files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in a federal court in Orlando. Inside the filing, the lawyers list $1 billion in debt, $30 million in cash on hand, and 5,500 unpaid suppliers. And buried in the same filing, almost as a footnote, is one line that explains everything. The company writes that its decision to make Ultimate Endless Shrimp a permanent menu item resulted in operating losses of more than $11 million in a single quarter. $11, all you can eat shrimp, for a price the company itself knew did not cover the cost of the food. The promotion was supposed to drive traffic. Instead, it bled the company dry in 8 months. Before we go further, you need to understand who Bill Darden actually was, because this isn't some private equity executive who flew in to flip a chain. Darden was born in 1919 in Waycross, the son of a railroad worker. He opened that Green Frog at 19 with money he saved from working at a soda fountain. In 1968, he saw something nobody else did. Working families wanted to eat seafood, but they couldn't afford the white tablecloth places, so he fixed it. The first Red Lobster opened with 8 kinds of seafood, a 40-seat dining room, and prices half of what a downtown seafood restaurant charged. It sold out the first week. General Mills bought the company in 1970. Bill Darden stayed to run it, expanded to 400 locations, and in 1995, General Mills spun off the restaurant division and named it Darden Restaurants in his honor. He had passed away the year before. By the early 2000s, Red Lobster was serving over 100 million customers a year and was the single largest buyer of lobster in North America. And then Wall Street got hold of it. Here is what nobody on cable news wants to explain. In 2014, Darden Restaurants sold Red Lobster to a private equity firm called Golden Gate Capital. The price was $2.1 billion. The deal was structured as something called a sale-leaseback. Golden Gate paid the price, then immediately took every single piece of real estate Red Lobster owned, sold the buildings to a separate real estate trust, and pocketed $1.5 billion in cash. Red Lobster, the restaurant, now had to pay rent on the buildings it used to own, rent that climbed every year, rent that hit $200 million a year by 2023. Golden Gate walked away with their $1.5 billion. Red Lobster walked away with a forever bill it could never escape. To understand what that does to a business, step into the shoes of a Red Lobster general manager in Toledo, Ohio. You started as a bartender in 2002. You worked your way up to general manager by 2014. Your restaurant used to clear $400,000 a year in profit. After 2014, your rent went up every 12 months. By 2023, your store was barely breaking even. Corporate tells you the answer is volume, so they tell you that Ultimate Endless Shrimp, which used to run 6 weeks every summer, is now permanent. Every day, year round, $11, all the shrimp a customer can eat, and the orders explode. Lines out the door, servers running until their feet bleed, but food costs balloon. Your shrimp inventory triples, and at the end of the quarter, you've served 30% more customers and made 20% less money. Your store is bleeding, and nobody at corporate is listening. Multiply that across 700 locations. Now, here is the number nobody at Red Lobster's headquarters wants you to see: $11 million. That is what Red Lobster's own bankruptcy filing reports it lost in a single quarter from Ultimate Endless Shrimp, from one menu item, and the filing goes further. Over 12 months, the promotion cost the company more than $50 million in direct operating losses. The company's own executives admit in court filings that the decision to make the promotion permanent came not from inside Red Lobster, but from a shrimp supplier that had taken effective control of the company's seafood purchasing. That supplier was Thai Union Group, and the same year the bankruptcy was filed, Thai Union wrote off its entire $530 million investment as a loss. $530 million gone. One bad promotion, one supplier with too much influence, one Wall Street deal a decade earlier that turned every Red Lobster building into a rent check. And it gets worse. While the chain was collapsing in 2023, the company's own internal data showed customer satisfaction was the highest it had been in years. The food was good, the service was good. What it did not have was a business model that worked, because every dollar of revenue had to pay for a building lease. Wall Street structure to climb 3% a year, forever. 48 hours before the bankruptcy filing, Thai Union announced it was divesting entirely. Suppliers stopped delivering. 99 restaurants were closed in a single week. Auctions were held inside still warm locations to sell the fryers, the booths, the lobster tanks. So, what are the people in charge doing about it? In September 2024, a hedge fund called Fortress Investment Group bought what was left out of bankruptcy. They installed a new 35-year-old CEO from PF Chang's. His plan? Cut the menu, raise prices, close locations that cannot make rent. Translation: more closures, smaller menu, higher prices for the families who used to be able to afford to eat there. And here is where both sides failed the regular family. Golden Gate Capital walked away in 2014 with $1.5 billion in cash and zero responsibility for the chain they hollowed out. Thai Union walked away with $530 million in losses, but kept the shrimp supply contracts that made them rich for years before the collapse. The 36,000 employees lost their jobs. The 5,500 small suppliers lost a combined $90 million in unpaid invoices. The Walpole, New Hampshire bakery that supplied Red Lobster's cheddar biscuits for 38 years had to lay off half its workforce. And the customer who saved for a month to take her family out finds the local Red Lobster is closed, the building empty, and a sign on the door. And Red Lobster is not alone. TGI Fridays filed for bankruptcy 4 months later. Hooters filed in early 2025. Cracker Barrel has lost half its stock value. Outback Steakhouse is closing 41 stores. The American casual dining sector has lost more than 1,800 locations in the last 18 months alone. Same playbook everywhere. Private equity buys the chain, sells off the real estate, loads it with debt and rent, pushes one big promotion, and when the numbers stop working, files for bankruptcy and walks away with the cash they extracted before the collapse. So let's bring it full circle. We start with a 19-year-old in Waycross, Georgia. In 1938, opening a 25-seat lunch counter with one rule: treat every customer like the most important person in the world. 3 decades later, he opens a seafood restaurant in Lakeland and prices it so a working family can afford it. 5 decades after that, Wall Street buys the chain, sells the buildings, collects the rent, lets a shrimp supplier push a promotion that loses $11 million a quarter, and walks away when the company collapses. Bill Darden built it so families could afford to eat well. Wall Street bought it, broke it, and built it. Here's the bottom line. When the people who own a business no longer have to live with the consequences of how they run it, the business dies. Every single time. And every Red Lobster, every TGI Fridays, every Hooters caught in that machine ends the same way. Not because the food was bad, not because the customers stopped coming, because the math behind the rent stopped working. And the people who put the math in place were never going to be the ones eating the check. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Did you grow up eating at Red Lobster? Did your first job pay your first paycheck inside one of those stores? Let's talk about it down below. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop asking who really pays the bills. I'll see you in the next one.